She's Democrat. The Klan has always been a Democratic organization. I could care less about Donald Trump. He's a millionaire. He's a businessman. He's not a politician. He couldn't run this country more than he can run a county. For the KKK, Hillary Clinton is our choice.
Clinton?
Protests, but that's what was going on, Congressman.
Secretary Clinton, I appreciate most of those attacks were after the attack on the facility in Benghazi. You mentioned Cairo. It was interesting what else Ms. Nuland said that day. She said, if pressed by the press, if there's a connection between Cairo and Benghazi, she said this: there's no connection between the two. So here's what troubles me. Your experts knew the truth. Your spokesperson knew the truth. Greg Hicks knew the truth. But what troubles me more is I think you knew the truth. I want to show you a few things here. You're looking at an email you sent to your family. Here's what you said. At 11 o'clock that night, approximately 1 hour after you told the American people it was a video, you say to your family, 2 officers were killed today in Benghazi by an al-Qaeda-like group. You tell the American people one thing, you tell your family an entirely different story. Also, on the night of the attack, you had a call with the president of Libya. Here's what you said to him. Ansar al-Sharia is claiming responsibility. It's interesting. Mr. Katala, one of the guys arrested and charged, actually belonged to that group. And finally, and most significantly, the next day, within 24 hours, you had a conversation with the Egyptian prime minister. You told him this: we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. Let me read that one more time. We know, not we think, not it might be, we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. State Department experts knew the truth. You knew the truth. But that's not what the American people got. And again, the American people want to know why. Why didn't you tell the American people exactly what you told the Egyptian prime minister?
Well, I think if you look at the statement that I made, I clearly said that it was an attack, and I also said that there were some who tried to justify it on the basis of the video, Congressman. And I think
but real quick, calling it an attack is like saying the sky's blue. Of course, it was an attack.
Well,
we want to know the truth. The statement you sent out was a statement on Benghazi, and you say vicious behavior as a response to inflammatory material on the internet. If that's not pointing as the motive of being a video, I don't know what is. And that's certainly how the American people saw it.
Well, Congressman, there was a lot of conflicting information that we were trying to make sense of. The situation was very fluid. It was fast moving. There was also a claim of responsibility by Ansar al-Sharia. And when I talked to the Egyptian prime minister, I said that this was a claim of responsibility by Ansar al-Sharia, by a group that was affiliated, or at least wanted to be affiliated, with al-Qaeda. Sometime after that, the next day, early the next morning after that, on the 12th or 13th, they retracted their claim of responsibility.
Secretary?
And I think if you look at what all of us were trying to do, and we were in a position, Congressman, of trying to make sense of a lot of incoming information and watch the way the intelligence community tried to make sense of it.
Madam Secretary.
So all I can say is nobody...
There was not conflicting information the day of the attack, because your press secretary said, if pressed, there's no connection between Cairo and Benghazi. It was clear. You're the ones who muddied it up, not the information.
Well, there's no connection.
Here's what I think's going on. Here's what I think's going on. Let me show you one more slide. Again, this is from Victoria Nuland, your press person. She says to Jake Sullivan and Philippe Reines, subject line reads this: Romney's statement on Libya. Email says, this is what Ben was talking about. I assume Ben is the now somewhat famous Ben Rhodes, author of the Talking Points memo. This email is at 10:35, 27 minutes after your 10:08 statement. 27 minutes after you've told everyone it's a video, while Americans are still fighting because the attack's still going on, your top people are talking politics. Seems to me that night you had three options, Secretary. You could tell the truth, like you did with the family, like you did with the Libyan president, like you did with the Egyptian prime minister. Tell them it was a terrorist attack. You could say, you know what, we're not quite sure. Don't really know for sure. I don't think the evidence is there. I think it's all in the first one, but you could have done that. But you picked a third option. You picked the video narrative. You picked the one with no evidence, and you did it because Libya was supposed to be, as Mr. Roskin pointed out, this great success story for the Obama White House and the Clinton State Department. And a key campaign theme that year was GM's alive, bin Laden's dead, Al-Qaeda's on the run. And now you have a terrorist attack. And it's a terrorist attack in Libya. And it's just 56 days before an election. You can live with a protest about a video. That won't hurt you. But a terrorist attack will.
The only thing I'd say is, as the situation on the ground changes, I think I have a responsibility, we, the Joint Force, has a responsibility to make sure the President has a full range of options. We have discussed that issue in the past under certain conditions. The conditions on the ground will change, and we'll continue to look at those options and make sure they're available to the President.
What about the option of controlling the airspace so that barrel bombs cannot be dropped?
All the options.
What do you think of that option, sir?
Right now, Senator, for us to control all of the airspace in Syria would require us to go to war against Syria and Russia. That's a pretty fundamental decision that certainly I'm not going to make.
You could fuck your mother in front of the governor and not go to jail.
Multiple overall. And yeah, for me as an attorney, I get this is illegal. This is something like that.
And I assume you don't go off and tell these conversations to anybody.
No.
Because this is technically.
No, absolutely. So, no.
However, other people can make things happen that you don't need to know about. We talk about lots of things that we don't talk about.
You know what? We've been busting people in to deep fucking asshole for 50 years, and we're not going to stop now.
This is part 2 of our undercover investigation into the dark, backroom dealings of the Hillary Clinton campaign. Part 1 blew up on social media, with many Americans wondering why the mainstream media wasn't covering the story. In fact, Project Veritas Action had television exclusives lined up around the country. Those television stations spiked the story at the last minute. Our sources tell us the reason they did so was fear of retaliation and retribution from a future Hillary Clinton administration. Truth is dangerous, especially when it challenges those in power. In this video, Democratic operatives tell us how to successfully commit voter fraud on a massive scale.
Wanted to find out what it would take to get the highest favorable turnout. Democratic politico Scott Fovel was our target, and he was more than willing to lead us through the process of how to rig an election.
We did to them when we were in charge too. So what did we do? We did the exact same thing. Only we manipulated the vote with money and action, not with laws. It's a very easy thing for a Republican to say, well, they're busting people in. Well, you know what? We've been busting people in to deep fucking asshole for 50 years, and we're not going to stop now. They're just going to find a different way to do it. So, I mean, I grew up with that idea. You know, they used to bus people out to Iowa. If we needed people out there, we used to bus people out to Iowa.
When we met Scott Fovel, he worked for People for the American Way, an organization funded in large part by George Soros. He now works for Americans United for Change. It's a nonprofit that claims to, quote, move America in a new, better direction, unquote. With guys like Fovel working for them, we wonder what direction that might be.
when I do this, I think as an investigator first.
Good. Yeah. Work backwards. Yes. Yeah, that's great.
I used to do the investigation.
Yeah.
Different method. I think backwards from how they would prosecute if they could, and then try to build out the method to avoid that.
The plan that was discussed was how to bring people from one state into another state to vote illegally.
They could invalidate. Well, okay, let's just say, in theory, if a major investigation came up of major vote fraud that way, how would they prove it and who would they charge? Are they going to charge each individual? Oh, sorry. Are they going to charge each individual with voter fraud?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Are they going to go after the facilitator for conspiracy, which they could prove? And it's one thing if all these people drive up in their personal cars. If there's a bus involved, that changes the dynamic. So it's the legality. Well, yeah. Because you can prove conspiracy if there's a bus.
Yeah.
If there are cars, it's much harder to prove.
And there's enough money.
If there's enough money, then you have people drive their POV.
Absolutely.
Or you have them drive rentals.
Yeah, with Wisconsin license plates. Absolutely.
Well, you can't have them with Wisconsin license plates because rentals here, most of them don't have Wisconsin license plates. Oh. But there's these things called used car auctions. Used car auctions, the titles belong to some unknown company. They're company cars.
And you know, these are multiple employers. These are not all one employer.
You use shell companies.
Yeah.
Cars come from one company, the paychecks come from another. There's no bus involved, so you can't prove that it's en masse.
There you go.
So it doesn't tip people off.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying.
See, okay, yeah.
Arguments. So that's all I could say. I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
I don't know.
Well,
you know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
You did not try.
It was a fascinating case. It was really an interesting case. This guy was accused of raping a 12-year-old who was the daughter of the family he was living in Springfield. They lived on the side of the tracks in Springfield. Of course, he claimed that he did all this stuff. He took a lie detector test. I had to take a polygraph, which he passed, which forever destroyed my faith in polygraphs. But what was sad about it was that the prosecutors had evidence, among which was his underwear.
His what?
His underwear, which was bloody. Sent it down to the crime lab for those efforts to reform the crime lab. Crime lab took a pair of underpants, neatly cut out the part that they were going to test, tested it, came back with the result of what kind of blood it was, what was mixed in with it. Then sent the pants back with the hole in it for evidence. So I got an order to see the evidence, and the prosecutor didn't want me to see the evidence. I had to go to Laughlin Cummings to convince Laughlin that, yes, indeed, I had a right to see the evidence before it was presented. So they presented these underpants with a hole in it. I said, what kind of evidence is that? You've got a pair of underpants with a hole in it. Of course, the crime lab had thrown away the piece that they cut out. It was really awful. I mean, I plea bargained it down because they didn't have any, it turned out they didn't have any. So he would analyze bloodstains if he got interested in the case. And so the story from the grapevine was if you could get him interested in the case, then, you had the foremost expert in the world willing to testify, assuming that it came out the way you wanted it to come out. And he sat at his little desk And I pulled out my underpants, you know, gave them to him. And started analyzing, looking at the fibers, you know, with magnifying glass and all that stuff. And you can't, you know, you can't prove anything. You know, you can't even, you know, so I can see a slight trace, but it wouldn't be enough to test and all that. So I went back and told Mahlon Gibson that I had, well, I probably can't remember his name, but I cut out who's who, and I'd done all this stuff, and I handed it to Mahlon Gibson. I said, well, this guy's ready to come from New York to prevent this miscarriage of justice. So we were going to plea bargain, so I went before Moffitt Cummings to present the plea. And Moffitt said, what is this? And Gibson said, you know, first degree rape. And, but, you know, he was dropping the charge, he was dropping it to, I can't remember, something like family or something. So Moffitt had to, you know, under law, he was supposed to determine whether the plea was factually supported. Moffitt asked me to leave the room while he examined my client so that he could find out his factual support. I said, Judge, I can't leave the room. I'm his lawyer. So I know, but I want to talk about this in front of you.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah. So that was Moffitt. Had a lot of fun with Moffitt. But anyway, I did some of that.
How did it turn out?
Oh, he plea bargained. We got him off. It was time served in the county jail. He been in the county jail about 2 months.